Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and thank you for joining once again in this fascinating deep dive into the hidden world of rare coins, extraordinary minting errors and shocking values that turn pocket change into life-changing money. And today we are going to explore a piece that many collectors overlook because they assume modern nickels don't carry significant rarity, yet the 1997 D5-cent coin has stunned the numismatic community with certain extremely scarce error combinations and dramatic minting anomalies that have pushed its potential value into the multi-million-dollar range, with one theoretical specimen in perfect condition containing multiple compounded mint errors estimated by experts to be worth as much as $6 million, and in this long, uninterrupted journey we will walk through every possible mistake, every layer of metal, every odd strike and misfeed that could create such a spectacular rarity, fully immersing ourselves into the incredible possibilities behind why a regular circulating nickel suddenly becomes an ultra-valuable treasure. So settle in as we examine the unexpected world hiding behind the 1997 D5-cent coin and discover how errors, metal composition issues, die deterioration, planchet contamination, double strikes, misalignments, off-centers, and other nearly impossible mistakes converge to create something so astonishingly rare that collectors would dedicate entire careers searching for even a hint of it. When we talk about the 1997 D-nickel, minted in Denver during a period of massive production for everyday commerce, the assumption is that billions of these coins were minted with modern precision and quality control that should theoretically eliminate significant mistakes, yet history proves that no matter how advanced the machinery becomes, errors are unavoidable, and when they appear under extremely unusual conditions they produce pieces that are not merely interesting but mind-blowingly valuable. And in the case of the hypothetical $6 million coin, the combination of errors has to be so extreme, so dramatic, and so impossibly rare that its very existence becomes a marvel, like discovering a meteorite in your backyard that contains minerals unknown to science. And this is where collectors begin analyzing the fundamental minting process itself to understand how these errors form, because each step opens new opportunities for mistakes. Consider the planchet stage. Before a nickel is even struck, the metal blank can already carry errors, and for the 1997 D5-cent piece, a mismetal scenario where the planchet is wrong, such as being struck on a copper-cent planchet, a clad dime planchet, or even a foreign coin blank, instantly transforms the coin into a rarity worth tens of thousands of dollars. But when this wrong planchet error combines with further striking mistakes, the value escalates exponentially, leading experts to speculate that a layered error combining multiple such anomalies could create the multi-million-dollar masterpiece often discussed among high-end collectors. Imagine a 1997 D-nickel struck on a mismetal planchet that is also significantly off-center, say 50% or more, but still shows a clear date and mint mark, making it identifiable yet dramatically distorted, and now imagine the same coin receiving a second strike, either rotated or misaligned, creating a double image effect where Jefferson's portrait overlaps with a second off-center impression, producing a surreal appearance unlike anything normally seen in circulation. And when this occurs on a planchet weighing incorrectly, containing abnormal alloy percentages, or showing lamination errors, splits, cracks, or delamination along the edges, the coin becomes even more extraordinary. These complex multi-layered errors are exceedingly rare, nearly impossible to replicate intentionally, and only occurring when the minting machinery malfunctions at the perfect moment, such as when dies shift out of alignment, planchets jam at odd angles, feeder fingers fail, or collar dies break unexpectedly, resulting in misshapen, partially formed, or dramatically distorted pieces that defy what collectors expect from modern coinage. Another layer of mystery emerges when die errors are introduced, such as die breaks, die cracks, cuts, shattered die formations, or significant die doubling on the obverse or reverse. And if a hypothetical $6 million 1997 D-nickel were to exist, it would likely contain an extremely bold and dramatic double die that is unmistakable and highly visible even without magnification, perhaps with an exaggerated doubling on the date or on the lettering, United States of America, that stretches and shadows each letter, making the coin instantly recognizable as an extraordinary strike. Combining this with a wrong planchet creates a stacking effect in rarity, which is why collectors constantly search their pocket change for these 1 in a billion pieces, because a coin with several error categories on a single specimen becomes exponentially more valuable, not just linearly. To take it further, consider the possibility of a broad strike error where the collar die fails to properly hold the planchet during the strike, causing the final coin to expand outward beyond its normal diameter, creating a flattened and stretched appearance while still retaining full design elements. And if such a broad strike occurred simultaneously with a dramatic off-center strike and on a wrong planchet, the rarity skyrockets into unimaginable levels, and if the die itself was damaged during the impression, leaving raised metal at odd angles or cracks across Jefferson's portrait, the coin becomes even more unbelievable. Another rare scenario involves double planchet strikes where two planchets are fed into the striking chamber at the same time, causing one coin to be partially fused or impressed onto another, creating a sandwich-like formation with overlapping designs, shadows and impressions that belong to two separate strikes, and if this occurred with a 1997 D nickel, especially on a Ms. Metal blank, collectors would instantly recognize it as a once-in-a-generation error likely valued at hundreds of thousands, if not millions. The Denver Mint has historically produced its share of memorable errors due to the high volume of coins struck annually, and while the 1997 D nickel generally appears normal, collectors know that the greatest treasures are often discovered in the most common years because mint workers do not expect unusual problems during routine runs, meaning that certain errors slip past inspection unnoticed. Within the technical sphere, minting experts discuss how mechanical doubling can occasionally combine with true doubling, or how die polishing marks can distort certain features, though these alone do not justify million-dollar valuations. However, when such effects appear alongside dramatic structural errors, their significance grows because they provide clues into the exact moment when the mint machinery malfunctioned, helping authenticate the piece as a legitimate mint error rather than post-mint damage. Collectors also explore possibilities such as strike-through errors where fabric, wire, grease, or other materials get caught between the die and planchet, leaving a permanent imprint, and if the strike-through is large, deep, or unusual, it becomes a fascinating anomaly, and when combined with other errors it enhances the uniqueness of the coin even more. For example, a strike-through cloth pattern across Jefferson's face, coupled with a dramatic 40% off-center strike and a rotated second strike on a dime planchet, would create a visually stunning specimen unlike anything normally encountered in circulation, hence potentially justifying a multi-million-dollar valuation among elite collectors. Another possibility lies in minting events where the dies shift positions between strikes, creating rotational misalignments where the obverse and reverse do not line up at the standard 180-degree orientation, and an extreme rotational misalignment, such as 70 degrees to 120 degrees, especially when combined with other errors, becomes exceedingly desirable. Advanced collectors also consider die cap errors, in which a planchet sticks to the die after the initial strike and continues to strike subsequent planchets, creating a mushroom-shaped extended cap of metal with severely distorted features, and if a 1997 D nickel die cap formed on a Ms. Metal planchet or one that was improperly annealed, the result could be dramatically valuable, especially if the cap retained full date visibility. Yet another ultra-rare and valuable error involves multi-strike flip-over double strikes where the coin flips between strikes, creating two obverse impressions or two reverse impressions on the same side, and these are so visually shocking that collectors pay extraordinary premiums for them. A 1997 D nickel featuring a flip-over double strike on a wrong planchet that is also off-center and broad-struck would easily attract top-tier attention and could theoretically reach multi-million-dollar valuations due to its impossibility. We can also examine errors related to metal flow and annealing, because if a planchet was improperly heated or cooled before striking, the surface could crack, bubble. Next 2012 D5 coin, to the channel, and thank you for joining us for another deep dive into the extraordinary and sometimes shocking world of rare coins, minting errors, and the stories behind how seemingly ordinary change can transform into multi-million-dollar treasures, and today we are going to explore the 2012 D5 coin. A modern nickel that has captured the imagination of collectors worldwide because of its potential to reach values as high as $5 million under very specific conditions, and although many may glance at a 2012 D nickel and see nothing more than an everyday circulation coin, the truth is that within the minting process, there exists a fascinating interplay of mechanical precision, human oversight, and random chance, which can produce anomalies so rare and dramatic that they command extraordinary attention in the numismatic world. And what makes the 2012 D nickel particularly intriguing is that it exists in a period of modern minting, where quality control is generally extremely high, meaning that when an error does slip through, it is exceedingly unlikely and often represents the convergence of multiple mistakes or malfunctions, which is exactly the kind of scenario that can push a coin's theoretical market value into the millions. And to fully appreciate why a 2012 D nickel could be valued at $5 million, one must first understand the breadth of errors that can occur at the mint, starting with planchet issues. Because before a nickel is ever struck, the metal blank itself must meet precise specifications, and if a wrong planchet is introduced, such as a planchet intended for a dime, a cent, or even a foreign coin, the resulting piece immediately becomes a rarity. But the story doesn't end there, because if that misplanchet is then struck off-center, the coin suddenly displays a dramatic misalignment where part of Jefferson's portrait or Monticello on the reverse is missing or overlapping in unusual ways, creating a visual anomaly that is highly prized among error coin collectors, and in many cases, off-center strikes alone can elevate a coin's value, but when combined with other factors, the value can become staggering, and the 2012 D nickel offers numerous possibilities for such combinations. Consider a scenario where the coin is struck on a planchet with abnormal metal composition or weight, perhaps due to an incorrect alloy mix during preparation, leading to variations in color, texture, and density, and when this rare occurrence coincides with a double strike, where the coin passes through the press more than once, each strike slightly rotated or misaligned, it produces a ghosting effect where the design appears layered, doubled, and in some areas completely distorted, and such a convergence of errors exponentially increases desirability among collectors, because not only is the coin visually unique, but its rarity is verifiable through technical analysis, microscopic inspection, and comparison with mint records, which is why theoretical valuations can soar into the multi-million-dollar range for a coin that would otherwise be considered common. Another layer of complexity arises from die errors, including die cracks, die breaks, cuts, and shattered dies, which can create raised or missing sections on the coin's surface, producing features that are completely unexpected and impossible to replicate artificially, and when such die anomalies occur in combination with off-center strikes, double strikes, broad strikes, and wrong planchets, the resulting coin becomes a singular numismatic marvel that collectors will compete fiercely to obtain. And in the modern era of coin collecting, such pieces often attract global attention due to their extreme scarcity and visual appeal. In addition, strike-through errors, where foreign materials such as grease, fabric, or metal fragments get caught between the die and the planchet, can leave permanent impressions on the coin's surface, creating patterns that are as intriguing scientifically as they are visually, and a 2012 D nickel displaying a dramatic strike-through pattern alongside a misstruck planchet and die doubling becomes even more extraordinary, effectively combining multiple error categories into one piece that represents a once-in-a-lifetime discovery opportunity, because the probability of all these errors aligning on a single coin is astronomically low. The possibilities continue to multiply when we consider broad strike errors, which occur when the coin expands beyond its normal diameter due to a failure in the collar die that usually confines the planchet during striking, and when a broad strike is paired with off-center positioning, double striking, and planchet anomalies. The result is a coin with unusual dimensions, distorted design elements, and a striking visual presence that instantly commands attention from collectors at the highest levels of the market. Another rare but highly significant error is the double planchet strike, where two planchets are accidentally fed into the press simultaneously, creating overlapping impressions or partial fusions between the coins, and if such an event were to occur on a mismetal or improperly annealed 2012 D nickel, the result could be a visually stunning and historically significant specimen, the type that numismatists would recognize immediately as having enormous potential value, particularly if the coin survived in near-perfect condition, because most extreme errors are either caught and destroyed at the mint or damaged in circulation, making preserved examples almost legendary. Further anomalies include rotational misalignments between the obverse and reverse, where the standard 180-degree orientation is disrupted, sometimes by as much as 90 degrees or more, producing a coin that seems alien in its geometry, and if a 2012 D nickel displayed such a rotational misalignment in combination with a double strike, off-center strike, and planchet anomaly, it would undoubtedly be considered a crown jewel by the most dedicated collectors. Additional possibilities for extreme value arise from die cap errors, where a planchet sticks to a die after striking and continues to strike subsequent planchets, forming a mushroom-shaped cap with distorted, raised design elements, and when such a die cap occurs on a mismetal or wrongly prepared planchet, the coin not only exhibits dramatic visual features but also provides a tangible insight into the rare mechanical failures that occurred during production, which is why collectors often go to great lengths to authenticate such pieces, confirming their mint origin and error classifications. Blistering, lamination, and annealing errors are other categories that can elevate a coin's desirability, because if the planchet was improperly heated or cooled prior to striking, it may develop bubbles, cracks, or peeling layers during the impression, producing surface textures that are visually striking and historically significant. And when such errors coincide with other anomalies like off-center strikes or die doubling, they create coins that are virtually impossible to reproduce intentionally, making them among the most valuable in the numismatic market. In the realm of double-strike flip-over errors, where the coin flips between strikes resulting in multiple impressions of the same side or overlapping images, the visual impact is dramatic, creating patterns that are surreal and captivating, and if such an occurrence were observed on a 2012 D nickel with a mismetal planchet, off-center strike, and broad strike characteristics, the coin would likely be regarded as a once-in-a-lifetime find, the type of piece that commands attention from collectors, auction houses, and the global numismatic community, and such a combination of errors is precisely what fuels the theoretical $5 million valuation for the most extreme specimen. Collectors also consider environmental and preservation factors because a coin of this magnitude, despite its fragile and unusual features, must survive in mint state condition to realize maximum value, and the probability of such a coin existing intact increases the excitement and anticipation within the collecting community, prompting detailed searches through old coin rolls, hoards, and collections for coins that might exhibit one or more of these extraordinary characteristics, with the hope of uncovering the perfect convergence of errors. Moreover, the historical context of the Denver Mint, which produced billions of coins annually, highlights the rarity of such extreme errors, because while the mint produces massive quantities of everyday circulation coins, only an infinitesimal fraction escape inspection with the kind of dramatic anomalies that elevate them to multi-million-dollar status. And this rarity is amplified when multiple error categories coincide on a single 2012 D nickel, creating an artifact that is simultaneously a testament to mechanical imperfection and a highly desirable collectible. In the technical sphere, numismatists examine microscopic and macroscopic features of potential error coins, analyzing die doubling, planchet defects, strike angles, and surface anomalies to determine authenticity and to differentiate true mint errors from post-mint damage, and in the case of a 2012 D nickel with multi-layered errors, this level of scrutiny is essential. Next 2013 P5 coin, the channel, and thank you for joining us for another deep dive into the fascinating and often surprising world of rare coins, minting errors, and the extraordinary cases where ordinary coins transform into multi-million-dollar treasures. And today we are going to explore the 2013 P5 coin, a modern Jefferson nickel from the Philadelphia Mint that has garnered intense attention among collectors and numismatic enthusiasts due to the possibility of extreme errors that could elevate its value to as much as $4 million, and while most people may glance at a 2013 P nickel in circulation and see nothing more than a common coin, the truth is that within the modern minting process, a remarkable interplay of precise machinery, human oversight, and chance can converge to create coins so unique and rare that they become highly sought after by collectors. And the 2013 P nickel is particularly intriguing because it comes from a period of modern coinage where quality control is generally extremely strict, which makes any major minting anomaly that slips through even more significant and highly valuable. And to understand why this coin could potentially command a valuation in the millions, one must first consider the range of errors that can occur during production, starting with planchet anomalies, because before a nickel is ever struck, the blank must meet exacting specifications in terms of size, weight, and metal composition, and if a wrong planchet is accidentally used, whether it be a dime planchet, a cent planchet, or even a foreign planchet, the resulting coin immediately becomes a rarity. But the story does not stop there, because if that wrong planchet is struck off-center, the coin displays a dramatic misalignment where part of Jefferson's portrait or Monticello on the reverse is cut off or displaced in unusual ways. producing a visual anomaly that collectors prize, and when off-center strikes are combined with additional errors, the rarity and potential value escalate exponentially, which is exactly what makes a 2013 nickel so intriguing to high-level collectors. Imagine a scenario where the coin is struck on a planchet with incorrect alloy composition or weight, perhaps due to an unusual misfeed during production or an error in the annealing process, leading to differences in color, texture, and metal density, and when such a planchet anomaly coincides with a double strike, where the coin passes through the press twice, each impression slightly rotated or misaligned, it produces a ghosting effect where design elements appear layered or doubled, creating a visual effect that is both striking and unique. And these kinds of multi-layered errors are exceedingly rare and highly coveted in the numismatic world because they represent mechanical events that are practically impossible to replicate intentionally. Furthermore, die errors such as die cracks, die breaks, cuts, and shattered dies add additional layers of complexity and rarity, producing raised or missing sections on the coin's surface that create patterns entirely unique to the individual coin, and when such die anomalies occur alongside off-center strikes, double strikes, and planchet errors, the coin becomes virtually one of a kind, capable of attracting multi-million-dollar attention, particularly if it is in mint state condition, as the most extreme errors are often caught and destroyed at the mint or damaged in circulation, making preserved specimens exceptionally valuable. Strike-through errors are another fascinating category, occurring when foreign materials such as grease, fabric, or small debris become trapped between the die and the planchet during striking, leaving permanent impressions on the coin, and when these strike-through errors are combined with off-center strikes, broad strikes, or double strikes, the resulting coin becomes a rare and visually compelling piece of numismatic history, effectively combining multiple error categories into one single coin that is highly prized by collectors, and this convergence of errors is exactly what can elevate the 2013 nickel to its theoretical $4 million value. Broad strike errors, which happen when the collar die fails to properly constrain the planchet during striking, causing the coin to expand beyond its normal diameter, add yet another dimension of rarity and visual appeal, particularly when coupled with off-center strikes and double strikes, as the coin may appear stretched, flattened, or otherwise distorted, creating a design that is dramatically unusual and instantly recognizable to collectors familiar with extreme minting errors. Another highly sought-after error type involves double planchet strikes, where two planchets are accidentally fed into the press simultaneously, creating overlapping impressions or partial fusions between the coins, and if this occurs on a mismetal or improperly annealed 2013 nickel, the result is a visually stunning specimen with historical significance and enormous potential value, because such anomalies are extremely unlikely to occur and even more unlikely to survive in collectible condition. Rotational misalignments between obverse and reverse designs further enhance the potential for value, particularly when the standard 180-degree orientation is disrupted by 45 degrees, 90 degrees, or more, producing a coin that appears alien and highly unusual, and when a 2013 nickel displays rotational misalignment in combination with off-center strikes, double strikes, or planchet errors, it becomes a truly extraordinary piece that collectors may consider the pinnacle of modern mint era coins. Die cap errors, where a planchet sticks to the die after striking and continues to strike subsequent planchets, forming a mushroom-shaped cap with raised, distorted design elements, represent yet another extreme anomaly that can dramatically increase a coin's rarity and value, especially when the die cap occurs on a mismetal planchet, or one that is improperly annealed or otherwise flawed, because the resulting coin exhibits multiple layers of error characteristics in a single, tangible artifact of minting imperfection. Blistering, lamination, and annealing errors add further opportunities for rarity, as improperly heated or cooled planchets can develop bubbles, cracks, or peeling layers during striking, producing surface textures that are visually striking and historically significant, and when these errors coincide with off-center strikes, double strikes, broad strikes, or die anomalies, the coin becomes virtually impossible to replicate intentionally, making it an extremely valuable collectible in modern numismatics. Extreme multi-error coins, such as double-strike flip-over errors where the coin flips between strikes, resulting in overlapping images or multiple impressions of the same side, are particularly dramatic, and if such an error occurs on a 2013 P nickel with a mismetal planchet, off-center strike, broad strike, rotational misalignment, and die cracks, it would undoubtedly be considered a once-in-a-lifetime find, the kind of coin that commands the attention of the global numismatic community and is valued at the very highest levels, potentially reaching or exceeding the theoretical $4 million mark due to its singular nature and extreme rarity. Preservation and environmental factors are critical in assessing value, because even the most dramatic errors can lose significant worth if the coin is damaged in circulation, making mint state or near mint state condition an essential component of the theoretical multi-million-dollar valuation, and this is why collectors meticulously examine every aspect of potential error coins, from metal composition to strike characteristics, die alignment to surface anomalies, in order to verify authenticity and determine whether a coin has the extreme rarity necessary to command such extraordinary value. Considering the historical context of the Philadelphia Mint, which produces billions of coins each year, the probability of such extreme errors escaping detection is incredibly low, which only serves to increase the allure and mystique surrounding a potential 2013 P nickel of this magnitude, and collectors understand that the rarity is amplified when multiple errors converge on a single coin, creating a piece that is virtually unique in the history of modern American coinage. In the technical sphere, numismatists utilize microscopic analysis, weight and metal composition tests, and comparisons with mint records to authenticate and classify extreme error coins, ensuring that any coin considered for valuation at the million-dollar level exhibits verifiable evidence of genuine minting anomalies rather than post-mint damage or artificial alterations. And this meticulous approach underscores the exceptional nature of coins like the 2013 P nickel with extreme errors. Because the market only rewards coins that are both historically authentic and technically verified. In imagining the theoretical $4 million 2013 P nickel, one envisions a coin with the rare convergence of multiple extreme error types: wrong planchet, off-center strike, double strike, broad strike, rotational misalignment, die cracks, die doubling, strike-through anomalies, lamination errors. Next, 1994 P 5-cent coin, the channel, and thank you for joining us for another deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins, extraordinary minting errors, and the hidden potential for ordinary coins to become multi-million-dollar treasures. And today we are going to focus on a truly remarkable modern nickel, the 1994 P 5-cent coin from the Philadelphia Mint. A coin that may at first glance appear mundane to the casual observer but, under the scrutiny of collectors and numismatic experts, is capable of achieving an astonishing valuation of up to $3 million when certain extreme errors and mistakes converge in a single, perfectly preserved specimen, and while the average collector might overlook a 1994 P nickel in circulation, assuming that modern coins are too common or too precisely minted to harbor serious rarity, the truth is that the minting process, even in the era of high-tech presses and rigorous quality control, allows for a range of anomalies that can transform an everyday coin into a once-in-a-lifetime collectible. And to understand why a 1994 P nickel could command such extraordinary value, we need to explore the full range of potential errors, their origins in the minting process, and the ways in which multiple anomalies can combine to create a truly unique and highly coveted coin. One of the most fundamental sources of error begins at the planchet stage, long before the coin ever reaches the press, because the blank metal disc must meet precise specifications in terms of diameter, thickness, and composition, and if a wrong planchet is accidentally used, such as one intended for a dime, cent, or even a foreign coin, the resulting nickel immediately gains rarity value, particularly if the date and mint mark are fully legible despite the improper blank, and collectors recognize such anomalies as foundational to extreme valuation. Off-center strikes are another major contributor to high-value coins, and in the case of a 1994 P nickel, a coin struck significantly off-center, for example 40% to 50% or more, can display part of Jefferson's portrait or Monticello cut off, creating a visually striking anomaly that is difficult to find in modern coins. And when an off-center strike occurs in conjunction with a wrong planchet, the rarity and value increase dramatically, because these are independent errors that, when combined, create a compounding effect that is far more valuable than either error alone. A double strike is another critical element in creating extreme value, where the coin passes through the press more than once, producing a layered or ghosted appearance with partial or full overlap of design elements, and if a 1994 P nickel is double struck on a wrong planchet or in an off-center configuration, the resulting coin is not only visually astonishing but exceedingly rare, because the precise conditions required for such a combination to occur are extraordinarily unlikely. Die errors are another source of significant collector interest, including die cracks, die breaks, cuts, and shattered dies, each of which produces raised, missing, or distorted areas on the coin's surface that are unique to the particular strike, and when these die anomalies appear on a 1994 P nickel that is already off-center, double-struck, or on a wrong planchet, the coin becomes virtually one of a kind, a phenomenon that collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums to acquire. Particularly when the piece is in mint state condition, as most extreme errors are either caught at the mint or damaged in circulation, making preserved examples exceptionally rare and valuable. Strike-through errors, where foreign objects such as grease, fabric, or metal fragments become trapped between the die and the planchet during striking, can leave permanent impressions on the coin, adding both visual intrigue and historical significance, and a 1994 P nickel with dramatic strike-through markings alongside other anomalies like off-center strikes, double strikes, or die breaks represents a confluence of errors that exponentially increases collector interest and market value, creating the type of multi-error coin that could realistically reach a $3 million valuation. Broad strike errors, which occur when the collar die fails to properly confine the planchet, causing the coin to expand beyond its normal diameter, introduce yet another avenue for rarity and visual interest, particularly when combined with off-center strikes, double strikes, and die anomalies, producing coins that appear stretched, flattened, or otherwise distorted, and which immediately attract attention from error coin specialists and high-end collectors due to the unusual and dramatic presentation of the design elements. Double planchet strikes, though exceedingly rare, offer another potential path to extreme value, particularly if two planchets are fed into the press simultaneously, producing overlapping impressions or partial fusion between the coins, and if such a strike occurs on a mismetal or improperly annealed 1994 P nickel, the coin becomes not only visually remarkable but historically significant, representing an event that is both virtually impossible to replicate and highly desirable for those seeking once-in-a-lifetime examples of modern coin errors. Rotational misalignment is another consideration, occurring when the obverse and reverse of the coin are struck at an angle other than the standard 180-degree alignment, producing coins that appear alien and visually distinct, and if a 1994 P nickel exhibits a substantial rotational misalignment in combination with off-center strikes, double strikes, planchet errors, and die anomalies, it becomes a unique piece that collectors would likely consider the pinnacle of modern mint error coins. Die cap errors, which occur when a planchet sticks to a die and continues to strike subsequent planchets, forming mushroom-shaped raised and distorted areas, further compound the potential for rarity, especially when combined with other extreme error types, because such a coin not only exhibits multiple simultaneous anomalies but also provides a tangible insight into the unusual mechanical failures that can occur during the minting process. Lamination errors, blistering, and annealing mistakes also play a role, because improperly heated or cooled planchets can develop cracks, bubbles, or peeling layers during striking, producing surface textures that are visually arresting and historically significant, and when these occur alongside off-center strikes, double strikes, die breaks, and other anomalies, the resulting coin becomes nearly impossible to replicate intentionally, making it a prized collectible in the high-end numismatic market. Extreme multi-error coins, such as double-strike flip-over errors where the coin rotates between strikes and produces overlapping impressions of the same side, represent some of the most visually dramatic and highly valued specimens, and if such an error were to occur on a 1994 P nickel with a wrong planchet, off-center strike, broad strike, die cracks, rotational misalignment, or lamination issues, the coin would likely be considered a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, attracting global attention and potentially commanding valuations in the millions. Preservation and environmental factors are critical when assessing the potential value of such coins, because even the most dramatic mint errors can lose significant value if the coin is damaged in circulation, meaning that mint state or near mint state condition is essential to realizing the full theoretical market potential, and this is why collectors meticulously examine every facet of potential error coins, including metal composition, strike characteristics, die alignment, surface anomalies, and overall condition, to ensure authenticity and extreme rarity. Considering the historical context of the Philadelphia Mint, which produced billions of coins annually in 1994, the probability of such extreme errors escaping detection and surviving in pristine condition is extraordinarily low, which serves to enhance the mystique, intrigue, and value of any potential 1994 P nickel exhibiting multiple simultaneous errors, because coins that exhibit this level of rarity are virtually unparalleled in modern numismatics. Numismatic experts utilize microscopic analysis, precise weight and alloy testing, and mint record verification to confirm the authenticity and classification of extreme error coins, ensuring that only coins with genuine and verifiable minting anomalies are considered for high-level valuations, and this meticulous approach underscores the exceptional nature of a 1994 P nickel with multiple overlapping errors, because the market rewards coins that are historically authentic, technically verified, and dramatically rare. In envisioning a theoretical $3 million 1994 P nickel, one imagines a coin that embodies the rare convergence of multiple extreme error types, including a wrong planchet, off-center strike, double strike, broad strike, rotational misalignment, die cracks, die doubling, strike-through anomalies, lamination defects, blistering, and possibly die cap characteristics, resulting in a coin that is not only rare but singular. Last 1999 P 5-cent coin, to the channel, and thank you for joining us for another deep dive into the fascinating, complex, and often surprising world of rare coins, minting errors, and the ways in which seemingly ordinary coins can transform into multi-million-dollar treasures through a combination of mechanical failures, human oversight, and extraordinary coincidence. And today we are going to focus on a coin that may appear at first glance to be nothing more than a standard circulation piece but which holds the potential to reach astonishing valuations for collectors worldwide, the 1999 P 5-cent coin from the Philadelphia Mint, a modern nickel that has captured the imagination of the numismatic community because of the rare errors and mistakes that can occur during its production. And although millions of these nickels were struck with the highest quality control typical of the late 20th century, a small number of extraordinary specimens exist that could theoretically be worth as much as $2 million if the right combination of anomalies is present, and the 1999 P nickel is especially interesting because it comes from a time when the U.S. Mint had modernized its machinery and quality control processes, meaning that for an error coin to escape inspection and survive in mint state condition, multiple rare events had to align perfectly, making such a coin both extremely rare and highly desirable to advanced collectors. And to understand why this coin can command such extraordinary value, we need to explore the full spectrum of potential errors, the ways in which they interact, and the reasons why these anomalies make the 1999 P nickel so compelling. One of the most fundamental sources of error begins at the planchet stage, long before the coin ever reaches the striking press, because the blank metal disc must meet precise specifications in terms of diameter, thickness, weight, and metal composition, and if a wrong planchet is introduced into the production line, whether it is a planchet intended for a dime, cent, or even a foreign coin, the resulting nickel instantly becomes a rarity, particularly if the date and mint mark are fully legible. Despite the improper blank, and collectors recognize such planchet errors as a foundational component of multi-million-dollar valuations, because without this initial anomaly, the other layers of errors would not have the same extreme impact. Off-center strikes are another major contributor to high-value coins, and in the case of a 1999 P nickel, a coin struck significantly off-center, for example 40% to 50% or more, can display part of Jefferson's portrait or Monticello on the reverse cut off or dramatically shifted, creating a visual effect that is highly desirable to collectors and instantly recognizable as a significant mint error, and when an off-center strike occurs on a wrong planchet, the rarity and value of the coin increase exponentially, because these two errors compound each other, creating a multi-error coin that is exceedingly unlikely to exist and almost impossible to replicate. A double strike is another critical factor, occurring when a coin passes through the press more than once, producing layered or ghosted impressions of the design, and if a 1999 P nickel experiences a double strike in addition to being struck off-center or on a wrong planchet, the resulting coin is visually striking, technically complex, and historically fascinating, representing a convergence of events so improbable that collectors would consider it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, and such. Multi-error specimens are precisely the types that can reach valuations in the millions. Die errors, including die cracks, die breaks, cuds, and shattered dies, add yet another layer of uniqueness and rarity, creating raised, missing, or distorted areas on the coin's surface that are specific to the individual strike, and when these anomalies occur alongside off-center strikes, double strikes, or planchet errors, the coin becomes virtually one of a kind, offering collectors a piece that embodies both mechanical failure and historical significance, and when preserved in mint state condition, such coins are extraordinarily rare because most extreme errors are either caught and corrected at the mint or damaged before reaching collectors. Strike-through errors, which occur when foreign objects such as grease, fabric, or other debris become trapped between the die and the planchet during striking, can leave permanent impressions on the surface of the coin, adding both aesthetic intrigue and numismatic significance, and when strike-through anomalies are combined with off-center strikes, double strikes, or die errors, the resulting coin represents a convergence of error types that is exceedingly rare and highly valuable, and such combinations are exactly what collectors look for when searching for the most extreme specimens of modern nickels. Broad strike errors, which occur when the collar die fails to properly constrain the planchet, causing the coin to expand beyond its normal diameter, create visually dramatic results, particularly when paired with off-center strikes, double strikes, and die anomalies, producing a coin that appears stretched, flattened, or otherwise distorted, and which instantly attracts attention from high-end collectors because of its unusual and striking appearance, the combination of mechanical rarity and visual appeal making it a potential multi-million-dollar collectible. Double planchet strikes, although extraordinarily rare, provide yet another avenue to extreme value, particularly if two planchets enter the press simultaneously, producing overlapping or fused impressions, and if such an occurrence happens on a mismetal or improperly annealed 1999 P nickel, the result is not only visually stunning but historically significant, representing a convergence of unlikely events that cannot be replicated and is therefore highly prized by advanced collectors and numismatic historians alike. Rotational misalignment is another key factor, occurring when the obverse and reverse of the coin are struck at an angle other than the standard 180 degrees, producing a coin that appears alien and visually distinct, and when this rotational anomaly coincides with other extreme errors such as off-center strikes, double strikes, planchet errors, and die anomalies, the coin becomes virtually unique, a modern marvel that collectors would consider the pinnacle of contemporary mint-era coins, and such a piece would naturally command the highest levels of attention and value in the market. Die cap errors, where a planchet sticks to a die and continues to strike subsequent planchets, forming mushroom-shaped raised areas, further compound the potential for rarity, particularly when combined with other anomalies like off-center strikes, broad strikes, double strikes, or die cracks, creating a multi-error specimen that is both visually extraordinary and technically complex. And collectors prize these coins because they represent not just one type of error but a sequence of mechanical failures that converge in a single, highly unique piece of numismatic history. Lamination errors, blistering, and annealing defects also contribute to the coin's potential value, because improperly heated or cooled planchets can develop cracks, bubbles, or peeling layers during the striking process, producing surface textures that are both visually striking and historically significant, and when these occur in combination with off-center strikes, double strikes, broad strikes, rotational misalignments, die cracks, or strike-through anomalies, the resulting coin becomes a virtually impossible to replicate artifact that is highly desirable to collectors and numismatic specialists, and these rare combinations are precisely what elevate a 1999 P nickel to theoretical multi-million-dollar valuations. Extreme multi-error specimens, such as double-strike flip-over errors where the coin rotates between strikes and produces overlapping impressions of the same side, represent some of the most dramatic and highly sought-after coins in modern numismatics, and if such an error occurs on a 1999 P nickel with a wrong planchet, off-center strike, broad strike, die cracks, rotational misalignment, or lamination issues, the coin would be considered a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, attracting attention from collectors around the globe and justifying a potential $2 million valuation due to its singular nature, technical complexity, and visual appeal. Preservation and condition are absolutely critical in assessing potential value, because even the most dramatic mint errors can lose significant worth if the coin is circulated or damaged, meaning that mint state or near mint state condition is essential for realizing the theoretical market potential, and this is why collectors meticulously examine every aspect of potential error coins, including weight, alloy composition, strike characteristics, die alignment, surface anomalies, and overall condition, ensuring authenticity and confirming extreme rarity. Considering the historical context of the Philadelphia Mint in 1999, which produced billions of coins annually, the probability of extreme errors surviving inspection and remaining intact is extraordinarily low.